Hey, what's up? It's Fuel Your Life Friday. Let's go. Welcome back, you beautiful souls. I'm not even going to front. I had no clue what today's episode would be, so I really just released it to the universe to see what would pop up, and within 15 minutes of doing so, this story actually landed in my lap. Did you know that during the Spanish flu, which was also a pandemic, a millionaire was born? I mean, not physically born, but made. And not just any old millionaire, the first female millionaire who is also an African-American woman. Sarah Breedlove, also known as Madam C.J. Walker, was the first in her family to be born after the Emancipation Proclamation, so she often described herself as being the first one in her family to be born free. But at the age of 5, her mother died, and just a few years later, her father died. In the book On Her Own Guard, The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker, Sarah recounted that she had only had 3 months of formal education, which she had learned during Sunday school, literacy lessons at church, which she had attended in her early years. She then married at the age of 14 to escape her abusive uncle, who she had lived with after being orphaned as a child. She had a daughter by the age of 17, and by the age of 20, her husband had passed away. So that she then remarried, but later left that man in 1903. In 1906, Sarah remarried for a third time, and this time was to a newspaper advertisement salesman, C.J. Walker. Now, in between all of those happenings within her romantic life, Sarah had worked as a laundress, but she only made $1 a day. According to the aforementioned book, Sarah was one of the many Black women within this era to struggle with scalp ailments such as severe dandruff and baldness. Her brothers were barbers, so she initially began learning about hair care from them. Around 1904, she became a commission agent selling products for Annie Malone, an African-American hair care entrepreneur as well. Now, Sarah's sales weren't great, but she decided to use her knowledge to start her own hair care line. In 1905, she and her daughter moved to Denver from Missouri, where she continued to develop her product line. In 1906, she met and married C.J. Walker, and he became her business partner, mostly helping her in advertising. And this is when Sarah then became known as Madam C.J. Walker. So Madam Walker sold her products door to door and would teach other Black women how to care for their hair and scalp. In 1908, the couple then moved to Pittsburgh, where they started a beauty parlor and established the Layla College to train hair culturists. Now, between 1911 and 1919, during the height of her career, her company employed several thousand women as sales agents for its beauty products, and by 1917, they had trained more than 20,000 women. Now, from February 1918 to April 1920, the Spanish flu infected more than 500 million people, which was about a third of the world's population at the time, and it did so in 4 successive waves. But guess what? Madam C.J. Walker's business did not stop thriving. In fact, it grew more steam through the pandemic. Although Madam C.J. Walker passed away in 1919 due to complications from kidney failure, her business went international in 1920. Madam C.J. Walker is recorded to be the first female self-made millionaire in America, as deemed by the Guinness Book of World Records. Multiple other sources mention that other women may have been the first, but their wealth wasn't well documented. And at the time of her death, she was the wealthiest African-American woman in America. With the current pandemic continuing across the globe, I thought shining a light on the resilient Sarah Breedlove, aka Madam C.J. Walker, would give you inspiration to keep going, keep persevering, and to not give up when life gets tough. Think about it. Sarah was an orphan. She had no formal schooling, and yet she made the Guinness Book of World Records for her wealth. Not to mention that I don't even want to overlook the fact that she was very giving and a pillar within her community. Remember, you are worthy of success. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of everything you desire. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and be sure to give the podcast a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you tune in and turn it up. That's all for today. I'll see you back here next week, but until then, remember, every level of life is an opportunity to grow. Be well, my friend.